What's up, you guys? This is Mr. Dela X, and today we are going through a percussion video, how to make your percussion sound professional and wide. Instead of looking for that certain sample percussion and to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, you find something you like. Well, this is the answer. How to make it, how to make your own samples. This one I did use FL Studio samples, so. Let me go ahead and play those out, and then we'll start going over them. So yeah, let me go over them. I do have, even though they're in the same pattern, I do have them separately on the mixer channel. That being the reason why is because reason why is to have more freedom. Basically, when I'm going through the effects channel, the effects chain gives more freedom because not everything will need the same settings, the same preset. Each one is a little bit different. It may seem time consuming at first, but it's definitely interesting. Keeps you on your toes. In case you're having a writer's block or something else, just definitely keeps you on your toes. Making something that that you made, and you'll feel proud of it. Anywho, excuse me, deep breath. Let me go ahead and explain to you what I have. So let me start off with the pattern. Pattern 3. It's not just one. It's more than that. Let me pull up the piano roll. Okay, so let me go ahead and stretch these out. I have a 2-bar loop. Yeah, as you can see, variants. This is the 909 hat. I did add little variants at the last part. Velocity does matter, so you can see different percussion has hitting different velocities. One thing about the hats, though, I do have them hitting at different milliseconds. Reason being because you don't want all your samples, all your percussion to hit in the same spot, and then one's overpowering the other, and you can't hear that one percussion that you want to hear the most or stand out. So in this case, is the hats for me, and I have them separated from the other the percussion samples by a couple milliseconds. I want to say 2. Let me try. Yeah, 2. So just 1, 2. And of course, I don't know if you noticed, I do have 2 of each. One 909 hat is panned to the left, and the other one to the right. So it has more stereo width matters. Just to keep your sample sounding professional. Also, this is my personal preference, but I do like to have them in key. I do most of my work in C# minor. So in this case, I have the pitch about a couple 100 semitones, 200. Let me just double check. 100 semitones. Just so it can hit within the G sharp key, which is under the C# scale. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and of course again 2 of each. Groove pattern. Let's go ahead and go with the groove pattern. The groove close hat pattern 7. I think it's the 5. I'm sorry. Again, this is all from using FL Studio drums, percussions off the FL drums. So yeah, the close hat. Velocity again matters. I like to have the third one hitting the highest. But then again, as you can see, it looks like a little mountain, going up and down and consistent. And then also have like a mini half of I would say half-assed percussion roll as well. The groove close hat 07. This one I have it a little bit different. Velocity again matters. I don't want them to have the same volume as my main hat rolls. Just want to have it a little decent, a little bit low, hitting the background volume wise. What I do, I just create the first little bar, has had the velocity set up, and then I pretty much just copy and paste for the rest. For my claps as well, the claps. Let me go ahead and pull those up for you. Sorry, excuse the mess. I'm very messy. Okay, the claps I have them hitting every. I have them on the last section. I have them skipping each other. One skip, one skip, one. A little bit of velocity, just tiny on the first one. Variety, again, there's no specific way why I did it. It's just variety. Your sound of the loop matters. So yeah, it's done with the pattern. Play one more time for you, and then we're gonna go to the mixer channel, and then explain the effects chain. Okay, so so now we're gonna go to the effects chain. Go back here. I'm sorry, very messy. I go back to effects chain. As you can see, I have them linked separately. I have them on their own mixer channel. The rides, the scraper. This one is more of like a stab kind of effect, so I'm gonna leave that out. So the 909 ride, the DNC clap one, the hats, the groove close hat 05, and the groove close hat 7. The only thing I did do, I did group them to insert 12, and I did add reverb. I feel like that didn't need its own setting for each one, so I just group them into one channel and then slap the warm verb to taste. You can also do Fruity River too. It's just up to you, or Fruity Convolver. Just up to you. Whatever you want to use. I'm already comfortable with warm verb. I'm sorry. Also LFO2. I use Gross P2, but I've been using Growth LFO2 since I just got it. Just a little bit of side chain. Excuse me, I keep burping a lot. Just a little bit of side chain. You don't want too much, because then you'll be drowning all the samples that are playing. Okay, so now we're gonna go to each individual sample. Let me start off with the hats first. But usually, let me switch this one too. How I start off with making like samples or stuff like with the percussion, I like to add fruity fast distortion, and it makes a lot of difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn off all the effects chains on the hats, and I'm gonna play the whole percussion loop by its all together, and that way you can hear the difference. So let me go ahead and play them. Let me go ahead and play the whole percussion loop, and I'm gonna go one by one, taking off all the effects chain for just the hats. So. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but I'm gonna go in order. So starting off with the fruity fast distortion, I like to add some distortion to my samples. Less is more, just up to taste. What I notice is with the distortion, if your percussion is on the high end, like hats, doesn't add too much harmonics, too much unwanted harmonics. because what I do have the Fruity Fast distortion on the B side. And when you have it on the B side, I would say just be careful with some percussion because it does add some unwanted harmonics. But what I've noticed is usually on the high end, if it's percussion mostly sitting in the high end, more on the highs, then it's usually somewhat unaffected. Um, but yeah, again, there's no preset on the knobs, the mix knob, the threshold knob, and the preamp knob. I don't have any settings. I don't have certain settings for it. It's just up to taste. What I seem sounds what blends all together with my track. The post knob, I don't mess with it a lot. But usually the mix, the threshold, and the preamp. It's just trial and error or whatever sounds better to you. Next part would be EQ. EQ. I felt like I didn't need some EQ because most of it is not conflicting with the low end. Low end for me, it goes up from 0 to 200 hertz would be considered for me low end. So if I don't see it hitting lower than 200, then I'm not gonna mess with it. Next part would be the imager. I do use Isotope 7 imager. That's probably that and some and like a couple. There's only like 2-3 plugins that I use that's not with FL Studio. I do love to use the imager a lot for adding stereo width to the percussion and all my samples, all my stabs that I make, sim program from scratch. I'm gonna go through each band, and I'm gonna have the loop playing. I'm gonna go through each band for the hats. So of course, the purple one's the low end. The blue band is the low mids. Yellow band, mid highs, and then the red band's the highs. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the percussion loop again, so you can see how it makes a difference having your percussions stereo with a little bit of stereo width. Okay, but yeah, adding some stereo width definitely helps. Also, like I said, in regards to velocity, also if you feel like it needs more volume or stuff like that, I also have the volumes on the mixer channel. It's up to you, or you can I can go back and mess with the velocities again. But if you don't want to do that, I mean, the volume faders on the mixer channel is your friend once you have them routed to the certain channel. Next part would be the Pancake 2. This is by Cable Guys. It is a panning FX plugin. Less is more, of course. Less is more. Like I said, I have it at 25%. I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and you can see where the hats are hitting. Of course, left, right. And then again, for the panning effects, it's just my preference. I like to, have some little variety. Pancake 2, I'm sorry, the Voxico span to basically see which what note is it hitting on. And like I said, it was hitting a G sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it as is. Again, it's up to taste. I like to have everything in key. Lastly, delay. Excuse me. Delay. It does make a difference. Adding some delay. Some people had 1 delay. I had 2. Some people had 3. I mean, as long as you don't have them all the way full blast on the feedback setting, on Fruity Delay 2, always have it on the ping pong effect feedback. Here I think, less is more on the feedback. Volume at 9 o'clock, cutoff at 9 o'clock. And then this is on the time knob. I have it at 2. Reason being, let me go ahead and Reason being, which one was it? Let me just make sure. Sorry, you guys. That's the next one. Reason being is because I want to have a swing effect on the hats. I don't want to have it all full on the feedback, but just tiny bit. Give it a little variety, and then also added another delay, but this one on the time knob have it sitting at 3, and for that is when it hits on the last part. I don't know if you noticed. Where is it? On the last part here, it adds a little bit of a delay, cool delay effect, and also it has a very tiny delay effect, so that's why the feedback have the bottom setting at 9 o'clock, so it doesn't bleed off a lot. It just bleeds a tiny bit just for the certain part. And of course, you can always tweak your taste, the cutoff as well. Basically, the cutoff on delay basically just cuts. It depends on how soon you want it cut off. If you have the knob all the way over here, all the way to the right, then of course it's going to take a little longer for the sound to cut off. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I did with all my sounds. Even for the hat roll, pretty fast distortion, up to taste. Sorry, that's the imager. Up to taste. But usually what I notice, I have it on the B side. Pancake 2, LFO2 for sidechain on the hat rolls. Just a tiny bit, you don't want too much. Just get a little pump effect. And then for the, back to what I was saying, the half-assed percussion roll, mini percussion roll. I do have a Fruity Love filter before the distortion, because like I was saying, I wanted to have this sitting more on the mid-low kind of deal, where I have a full sound for the percussion loops. Usually what I mess with, I just have it at 1 and then mess with the filter effect with filter side. Do single, dual, up to whatever you want to mess with. The envelope, the cutoff, the resonate, the low band, the high band, and the I think it's bypass. I don't mess with that one a lot, but yeah, same thing. Fruity fast distortion, EQ, and then EQ to taste. Like I said, usually with the percussion, I don't want to hit too much of the high end. This one, I think it was hitting some low, so I cut it off at 554, which is a C sharp 5. Ozone imager for the stereo image, and then some LFO2, just a little bit of side chain. The rides as well. This one, for the rides, I did add Convolver to give it a reverb. Let me see if I can play it by itself. But yeah, one thing I will say on the 909 ride for the Convolver, when you add Fruity Convolver, basically like, it's for to give it more space and then to have that techno sound ride kind of deal. This side don't have a preset as well. One thing I do like to have is the in and the wet. I like to have them on separated to add more stereo width. The wet, I don't like to have it too much. I like to have it at, this one's at 27, and then also mess with the stretch. What the stretch does, it just messes with the effect, with the reverb effect. Usually what here, since I move it more to the, since I moved it counterclockwise, is basically taking off a little bit of the feedback of the reverb. Again, I like to have that first, and then I didn't add no distortion on this one. I didn't feel the need it was, but also added some EQ. Again, the the stereo imager. Again, it's up to taste. Once I got somewhat of a enough stereo width to blend in, I like to have it. Like, I'll be okay with it. Let me go ahead and play it again so you can see. And again, if you do have Ozone 7 imager, try not to go too much on the red, because that basically you're going out of phase. And when you try to play it at big club systems, you won't be able to hear that because most of the club systems are in mono. So if it's in red, then and then you're playing at a club, then you're SOL. For those who don't know what that is, I'll go ahead and someone leave that in the comments. But yeah, try not to go over, go below on the red because that means you're going out of phase, and that's basically you're going out of the, I guess, system sound, and you won't be able to hear that in the system when you're playing at big clubs. Yeah. So yeah, it does sound good. I mean, having it all the way in red, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to do too much because, like I said, most of the clubs they play in mono. Yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. And of course, with this delay again, it's up to taste. I did less is more again. LFO tool. Where is it? There it goes. I did add some. Did go a little bit heavy on the side chain. I feel like the first part was hitting too much, and I'm gonna go to this pattern on the piano roll for the rides, and let me show you the velocity that I have set up here. I think they're hitting at C4. There it goes. So yeah, the velocity pattern. This one too, I think I have it more, just a couple milliseconds off by 3, I want to say. And then I have the first part hitting a little bit lower, and then the third part hitting a little bit higher, and then just pretty much just copy and paste. That way you can achieve a sidechain effect as well, in case if you add like too much effects, and yeah, it pretty much just helps you blend in with your work with the roll. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and play. Let me go ahead and play the bongos. The bongos and the scrape from Fruity Loops. This is all Fruity Loops percussion. Just to add variation, keep your loop standing out. Just add something different. Just keep messing around. Try and error again. I know some of you may not have the patience for it, but it just takes time. I mean, once you get the hang of it, you'll start having lots of fun. By the time you make a good bomb percussion loop within a snap, man, time goes by fast, and I mean, you won't regret it. But we go ahead and play the rest of the percussions. They call it a scraper or scrapper from Fruity Loops, and then the industrial bongo. They're very. I don't have them as loud. I just have them sitting like in the background kind of deal, but you can still hear them. Go ahead and play it for you. But yeah, pretty much I did the same thing with the bongo. I didn't add distortion. I didn't feel like I didn't need distortion. Also for the scrapper, I did add some distortion. I don't know why I've been doing the EQ first. I do apologize. But yeah, I always add the distortion first, EQ, then stereo image, even more panning up to just my preference, and then some delay. That's pretty much it. Again, if you do have any questions, just go ahead and hit the comment section. I'll be definitely sure to reply. I'm quick to reply. I'm always on my phone. Very addicting. But yeah, let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and review it one more time. So when you're making loops and stuff like that, try to have two of the same loops. Go ahead and drag and drop two of the same samples, and then have one pan left, far, and then the other one far right. Velocity does matter. Remember that. Just depends where you're hitting. Oh crap! I think I had an extra one. Where did it go? I'll find it right now. Where is it? There it goes. So yeah, velocity does matter with your samples. Again. Also, if you have them off by a couple milliseconds, that also matters. It's one of the key points. Velocity, also your effects. Effects chain matters as well. Like I said, add some distortion, EQ after that. Add some stereo image. With stereo image, I did hear something about FL Stereo Shaper. You can give that a try. If not, OZONE, you can get a ringtone with Splice, I believe. And the imager I definitely recommend. Panning with Pancake 2. Just a little bit extra is not recommended. Just up to you if you want to add that. Voxingo span to make your samples in key. Of course, the way I make my stuff in key, basically just going back to the sample and then go to the time stretching settings and then mess with the pitch. Of course, 100 semitones means one half note, not a whole note, a half note, I believe. But yeah, someone can correct me on that. I don't mind. And then after that, delay. Of course, with the delay, feedback on the feedback setting. I don't mess nothing with the input. With the feedback setting, I do have it on ping pong. Less is more, of course. The volume, the cutoff, I usually like to have it at 9 o'clock. I try not to exceed it past the 12 o'clock. So it's just up to you. Tweak it. Because if you do too much delay on too much feedback, it's gonna bleed off, and then some things it could overlap with other delays, and it might not sound pleasant. Let me go ahead and play this climax for this track I'm working on, so that way you guys can get a grasp of it. And like I said, if you have any questions, don't forget to drop a comment, like this video, and subscribe. I'll be definitely putting out more content. But without further ado, I hope you guys get to enjoy this drop. So yeah, thanks again, you guys, for watching this video. Like I said, like, subscribe, comment. Of course, I think next video I'm gonna go ahead and try to explain how to make my kicks. There's several ways. One, I use Kick 2, Sonic Academy. The next one, I used the DMD 909 pack. If you have not heard of that pack, I used that in my first video on how to make a techno rumble bass, and I'll drop a link below. But yeah, go ahead and make that my top priority to get that video out to you guys soon. Again, this is Mr. Dela X signing off. Peace.